to be had. It's all about the timing. Now, these weather fronts are timing things beautifully this evening, bringing rain in for Friday night across most areas. Parts of the east still dry right now, but the rain will creep its way eventually into eastern Scotland and eastern England. Nothing too heavy, but it's going to be a much milder night compared to last night when we got down to -5 tonight. Many towns and cities holding in double digits, some places staying in the teens. So it won't be cold first thing, but it will be pretty grey, drab, dank, drizzly first thing on Saturday morning. The main area of rain will be heading its way out into the North Sea. It's going to not reach Shetland until tomorrow morning, but once it arrives here, it may well linger. Elsewhere, the rain will be moving away from Northern Ireland, so something a bit brighter, at least for a time, but showers will move in here following behind this main zone of rain. Also looking a little drier across Wales and southwest England, a soggy start for East Anglia and the southeast. But again, that rain will be moving out into the North Sea, so generally through the day, it's going to get drier during the morning and eventually might even brighten up. Parts of northeast England, East Midlands, parts of East Wales may well see some decent spells of sunshine. It could just spark 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, particularly northeast Scotland and Northern Ireland, but they'll be very hit and miss. Many places avoiding those, but more showers will always come into western areas where it will be cooler. But in the east, in the sunshine, quite warm, quite humid, could get to 21, maybe even 22 Celsius. A fresher feel for Sunday, gusty day across northern areas, particularly in western Scotland. Really blustery here with lots of showers, but elsewhere, not too many showers. And much of the Midlands, eastern and southern England looking dry and fine. It'll be breezy, it will feel fresher, but temperatures closer to average with maybe getting up to 20 or 21.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of 4, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News, 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour for a bunch of stories, including Lucy Connolly got 31 months in jail for a tweet. Now a Labour MP is defying Keir Starmer to ask for her release. Can Keir keep her locked up? And Britain's first nationalised rail service will be, you guessed it, a rail replacement bus service. Couldn't get any more British. And is racism allowed in comedy again? Well, with this panel, anything could happen. I'm Leo Kearson tonight. I'm joined by Cressida Wetton and Nick, the big dog Dixon, ho ho, to take you through Saturday's top stories. This is Headliners. First things first, let's see what the papers have in store for us on today's show. The Daily Mail leads with Rayner on the rampage. Is she going to be the next leader? The Daily Express has Get Tested, Fergal Sharkey's cancer shock. The Daily Mirror has My Big Sister Kate and Me, that's a royal family story. The Eye Weekend has Labour rebels warn Starmer back down on disability benefit cuts or we resign from front bench. Sounds like an opportunity for an upgrade. The Times leads with new mental health A&Es will relieve NHS strain. And the Daily Star has It's Not Easy Being Orange and a not very flattering picture of Donald Trump as a little pig. So Cressida and Nick, how are you both doing?
Very well, thanks. I enjoyed your dog impression there.
Yeah.
This is why people are turning to dogs instead of children, isn't it? Because they want to mother Nick.
Yeah, although dogs don't look after you when you're old because they're dead.
Yeah, that was very out of character for you, that dog noise. I was like, what's happened to Leo?
It's the Bloodbath special, Nick. Now, shall we have a look at tomorrow's front pages with the Daily Telegraph here, Cressida?
Yeah, protester charged for mocking Hezbollah. What? So a Jewish activist was arrested for holding up a cartoon for 3 minutes at a demonstration. It was a cartoon mocking the Israeli pager attacks that had happened. And he was arrested in case he offended any Hezbollah supporters. You know, Hezbollah, the terrorists. What's that all about? And the police are saying, oh, it was a mistake, somebody misspoke, but she was reading it when she said it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just another example of, I guess, two-tier policing. It's the police getting the wrong guy, I would say.
Yeah, and possibly, like we saw in Manchester a few weeks ago when a guy was arrested by police officers, Muslim police officers, I believe, for insulting the Quran. It's almost as if we've got, you know, creeping Sharia law, creeping blasphemy laws in the UK now, Nick.
Yeah, and for a long time. I mean, we've had this thing where the police basically need to be taught the law, right? They are sort of imposing political doctrines rather than actual laws, and quite frequently the people they're arresting know more about the law than they do. Obviously, there's lots of hard-working policemen, but there's this politicised, as you said, two-tier. When you're asking, police were asking repeatedly, do you think this could have offended people who are into Hezbollah? That's such an insane question. It's like, you know, you guys, like the state had prescribed them as a terrorist group. Yeah, but like we like them now. Like, what? Yeah. How does that even work?
Well, I think it's because, you know, now the state and everybody that's operating under this woke doctrine has divided the world into oppressed and oppressors. And so white people are oppressors and any minority, even Hezbollah, is oppressed. So if you offend them, and hate crime laws are there to protect them, so if you offend them, then you're breaking a hate crime law. And as the police said in the interview, they accused the guy of stirring up racial hatred by mocking Hezbollah, which is very, very strange. So we're not allowed to mock terrorist groups anymore.
Very weird. Like you say, it's just applying this very crude sort of post-Marxist doctrine to the world. And it nearly always goes that way, not just with the police, but the entire regime. I'd say a very rare example of the contrary was Gary Lineker recently getting booted out for, you know, this post that he did.
Yeah.
Whereas it nearly always goes the other way, as you've said. It's the regime in our country, in the West in general, has basically chosen Palestine, with, of course, the notable exception of the US, who are very sort of pro-Israel.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel relieved that there's more balance in cancel culture now? People are getting knocked off both sides.
That's a fair point. This is just so ridiculous, though, because the police are saying, we know there are pro-Hezbollah people here at this event. They should have gone for those. That's what I find so outrageous about this. They're admitting it in the way they're asking the the questions. That they've got the wrong person.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. There's also this knife attack in Germany that's left 12 people injured. And whenever I see, knife attack in Germany, I think there's an assumption that it could be terror-related. Apparently, this one wasn't. It's a woman possibly with mental health issues. But even just this week, there have been stabbings at German schools. There seems to be this sort of low-level state of constant terror in Europe.
Well, yeah, and it's not even the main story, is it? It's a small story in a 2-inch box at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because we've seen so many of these, so it's not that shocking.
It's becoming the background noise.
Yeah, we've been boiled like the proverbial frog when it comes to terror. Everyday stabbings in Britain and across Europe. Yeah, three have life-threatening injuries, 3 serious and 6 more just injured. So, yeah, shocking. And, yeah, what can you say about it, really?
Yeah, and a lovely picture there of Gillian Anderson, who doesn't seem to have aged at all since the 90s when she was in the X-Files. And I don't know why they picked that picture.
It makes you wish everything was the 90s, you know what I mean? Because in the stories, it wouldn't be like 12 people stabbed or something. It would just be like, US conquers everything, money, loads of money in West.
Good film coming out that won't try and turn your child
Good
trans.
bands does song.
And also, Jeremy Clarkson would just be driving fast cars and not threatening to become the next Prime Minister.
Yeah, and here he's saying in the past 20 years, Britain has fallen off a cliff edge. Yes, I've noticed, Jeremy, and he's noticed as well. Is that what he's saying?
Well, no, but I have seen people spreading rumours that he might go into politics next.
If he stood for reform, oh my God, there wouldn't be a single man.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a single man in Britain, probably a lot of the women as well, that wouldn't vote for him.
Yeah, he's got massive energy. I loved it when he came into the city with the farmers. It was like the Ents in Lord of the Rings just coming in. Do any of you guys get that reference? People at home will get that. They're big trees.
I know they have sweep. Oh, right, OK.
It was so great. It was like the countryside coming in, the real England coming in, led by Clarkson with a big pitchfork. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. The farmers' revolt. And there's the Financial Times here as well, Nick.
Yeah, a rare outing for the old FT. It's Trump threatens EU tariffs on 50%. So you've probably seen Trump's brilliant post about this. The basic gist of it was that the EU, who would have guessed it, are quite difficult to negotiate with. And Trump has just found this out, which is quite funny. Like, he's shocked by it. He's like, hang on, Britain was so easy to negotiate with. What's wrong with these guys? Like, they're the EU. They're absolutely awful. So he's just finding that out. And, people are worried because what it does for investment. If you had an all-out EU-US trade war, you've got supply chain, you've got market confidence, all those kind of things I don't understand. But yes, it's just Trump finding out what the EU are like.
Yeah, which we've known for a while. After trying to get Brexit done, there's no way you can get a trade deal done with those guys.
Well, that's right. And he even went as far as to say that the sole purpose of the EU, he tweeted to say that it was formed for the primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade.
I mean, that's a little bit unfair. Wasn't the EU set up at the request of the United States?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about sort of post-war peace in Europe, and then Trump's going, now you're destroying. It's like, well, yeah, we've been in the American Empire, like, chill out.
Yeah.
But yes.
And we've been in the American Empire. Now the American Empire has decided to boot us out. We've got to stand on our own 2 feet and fight Putin ourselves. We don't like it very much. And there's also this story here about Harvard suing Trump.
Yeah, this is the FT's headline is Class Warfare, Harvard Fights Federal Action. And it's this judge who is called Alison Burroughs, who was an Obama appointee, some have pointed out, and she has said that this would be an immediate and cause immediate and irreparable injury to Harvard because he's tried to ban them from enrolling foreign students. Very controversial. Trump's in a kind of war with Harvard. But we shouldn't be too sympathetic with Harvard because they do have an endowment of $52.3 billion, which is more than the GDP of Jordan.
Why doesn't Britain invade Harvard?
Exactly. They're basically a country. I think they have a GDP higher than like almost 100 countries. So it is like a war between a small country. And obviously they've gone woke. And obviously this is where one area you can get them, foreign enrollment, because this has been... It's become basically a scam in this country, at least. I don't know how bad it is in America, where, a university, you might have like an occasional, the Fulbright scholarship, whatever it was. Now it's just like all out, and you use them to get higher fees, and it's become a scam.
It's massive. It's nearly 7,000 students at Harvard, and they're paying around $60,000 a year. So it's a huge amount of money. And it's quite effective from the judge's perspective, isn't it? Because not only, the state are asking for information about students of not even committed crimes. It's actually a little bit non-crime hate incident-y on Trump's part.
So this is free speech issues on campus. This is students who've, perhaps organised or voiced support for Hamas or Hezbollah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But to give the other side, talking about violent and dangerous activity, OK. But where am I going with this? The point is that students who aren't involved in that are going to suffer from this. So it's very effective. It's not looking good on Trump.
Yeah, and I'd have thought, the people who are coming across the border to go to Harvard are probably your higher level of migrant. You know what I mean? It's like, I wish Britain had the same quality of migrant as people going to Harvard. I get the feeling a lot of the people coming across in the small boats wouldn't even make it into Dumfries College of Technology.
There is that. I can see both sides, because there's the free speech argument Cressa's outlined, but also Rubio is saying, well, if you come over and you're just, creating all sorts of havoc in our universities and you're on a temporary, you're here as a guest, we have no obligation to keep you in our country.
It's going to be a bit of a rude awakening, though, isn't it, for somebody who's maybe a middle-class Harvard student? They've just held up some placards and think they're not doing anything wrong, and it's like, mess around and find out,
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, so many of these students won't know that, anything they're saying could be seen as inflammatory or could be seen as breaching any laws.
That's been true throughout all the woke wars of the last few years. Lots of people have said things they didn't think were going to be terribly important, and they have turned out to be.
Absolutely. And we do have an issue in this country, at least, with universities being set up as a route to immigration, not for learning things. And let's have a look at some stories inside the newspapers. We've got the Telegraph now with a Labour MP defying the Supreme Leader Keir Starmer over the jailing of Southport tweeter Lucy Connolly. Cressida.
That's right. First Labour MP calls for mother jailed over Southport tweet to be freed. So this is Mary Glindon, and she's crossed over to the dark side. She's signed Rupert Lowe's motion. He's saying that she should be let out earlier, of course. This comes after she's lost her appeal, so she's now stuck in prison for 31 months over her ill-chosen tweet that she very quickly deleted, but of course it was illegal. She broke the law. This MP is saying, I simply signed the EDM because I was very upset that Lucy had lost her appeal and that her young daughter would be without her mother for a longer period. And she goes into lots of detail and says her heart bleeds for the daughter, which is how a lot of people are feeling.
Yeah.
And, of course, this is like another opportunity for Keir Starmer to miss another PR opportunity with the nation.
Yeah.
This would be a great time to do something to make people like you, Keir, but, of course, he's not doing that.
But I guess he might think that, if disorder kicks off again this summer, which it might be a regular thing as the years go by now, with the state of the country and the sectarian divisions that are emerging. If disorder breaks out, he doesn't want he wants to limit the rioting that goes on. I mean, it nearly got completely out of control last time.
Yes, but set against that is how damaging politically it is. There was this very sort of mid-wit opinion that Starmer had handled the riots well, but actually there was polling that showed, from More in Common, that showed 60... I think it was people who had moved from Labour to vote Reform, and 66% of them were aware of his handling of the riots, and he had a minus 10% approval rating on his handling of it. So it's a myth that he handled it well.
Yeah.
There was also an even worse rating on his release of prisoners, which was the flip side of the coin, because they released those people to put in people like Lucy Connolly.
Yeah.
So he handled the riots badly. And he's handling this badly, as Cressida says. He says, he's strongly in favour of free speech, which is OK, and but against incitement. But the question is it really incitement? Maybe that's what the law has decided. But can you really say it was incitement when she says, so-and-so for all I care? In America, you'd have to have some sort of, my understanding, you'd have to have some sort of direct, what sometimes used to be called fighting words. You've got to be able to say to people, right, go and get that guy now. Yeah. And it has a temporal dimension. Whereas this didn't. It was a very vague expression of discontent.
And it wasn't linked directly to any disorder or any riots or any criminality. It was just, one of millions of tweets put out by people who are angry that children had been stabbed to death. And, Lucy herself had lost a toddler due to medical negligence. The doctor wasn't from this country, so you can see how that might, turn her opinions in a certain direction. And I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that sometimes the system makes an example of someone. For a mother to get 31 months for a tweet that wasn't even particularly bad. It was nowhere near as bad as the Labour politician we saw. The Labour politician who shouted slash their throats, which was a direct call for violence.
Absolutely. And I've heard so many lefties this week talking about going back to Labour values. That's what Labour need to do, to go back to Labour values. And I feel like this is the first example I've actually seen of that.
Yeah.
A female MP supporting a woman It feels like old school lefty values. Let's get her back home to her daughter.
Yeah. I was exactly going to say that. It's old school Labour. It's a working class person who's essentially been oppressed by the system. That is old school Labour. And it's bold of Mary Glynnon to be the first one, and great work from Rupert Lowe for doing this.
And apparently Marco Rubio and Donald Trump are going to be reviewing the case. So this could cause another transatlantic rift and more pressure on Labour, possibly tariffs, if we don't, go along with America's, ideas of free speech. Because in Europe, under our hate crime laws and all the rest of it, we've been absolutely stifled.
Do you know what's going to be amazing? Trump in the White House, Keir Starmer, could just dim the lights coming in. Just shows every terrible free speech transgression, every oppression, all anarcho-tyranny on the screen. And Starmer's like, excuse me, Donald, just look at the screen. He just tells the Donald, look like that South Africa guy. So, it'd be so amazing.
And then Starmer will say, well, I'm only here for 6 hours. So we can't
roll the tape.
We can't show everything I've done wrong. And also,
18 hours later, Trump's still going. 18th Diet Coke. Donald, is this really necessary?
And there's another issue about, possibly collusion between duty solicitors and the Criminal Prosecution Service. I mean, if you're given a solicitor, a legal representative by the state, they're still supposed to represent you and not have anything to do with the state's agenda or any political direction. But it seems that, I don't know, people weren't getting the proper advice. People were being railroaded into pleading guilty, and then when they pleaded guilty, instead of being treated, leniently, they were getting the maximum possible sentence. So I think all that is going to come out in the wash at some point, and it won't be good for Keir Starmer when it does. Well, coming up, we'll have a look at the front page of the Times. What's it got? It's got new mental health A&Es will relieve A&E NHS strain. I've had NHS strain before, it's very painful. And we're going to have more stories from inside the newspaper, including lots of people coming here, but from America this time. They're seeking refuge from Trump. We'll have that in a moment. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
To try and get rid of the St George's flag.
Well, firstly, I think a woke landing craft drove through our interview at 10 miles an hour. But answering your question, I was asked to change a whole bunch of things on that spring picture. And to this day, I don't know why. As I said previously, it was just selling very, very well. And all of a sudden, the skids hit, and I was told to remove several things for God knows why. It's been selling very well, so why would you want to change it? And to this day, I don't understand. Well, as the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, Mike, we see there the St George's flag. Let's get the next picture up. There's a saucy window cleaner halfway up the ladder there, peeking into a soap-covered, buxom young beauty. Presumably that's also anti-woke these days.
Well, I have to enjoy myself when I'm drawing something. I'll sit there drawing blokes all day.
So the person in the bath you made trans, fair enough. If you can't beat them, join them. And what about the Morris dancers?
Well,
they didn't even like Morris dancers, mate.
Yeah, the other thing is you've got to remember I live in Bognor Regis, so we're used to innuendo and lunacy.
So the fact of the matter is they censored your jigsaw, you told them to go and shove it. Do you think this is, you got a quick 30 seconds, any regrets on what you did?
No, not at all. I'm English, I'm very proud of my country. I don't care what anyone does. I don't want to join their club, but they're quite happy to do it. But I don't understand a professional suicide that company seemed to do by upsetting all the regulars that love doing my humour.
GB News. GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's go to gbnews.com/yoursay to see what you've been saying about the show. Carl Simpson says, he's referring to the Lucy Connolly tweet. She said, "They can do this for all I care," was what she said. It's paraphrased. She didn't say that people should. She said that she didn't care that people were, after hearing that people were in fact doing it. So he's making the point that, you know, it wasn't an incitement. She was just saying she didn't care. And that's a good point, I think. Mark Luscombe says, Starmer is currently clearing prison spaces for this summer's political prisoners. Jeez, might be one of us. And Northern Bloke says, definitely a dream team tonight. An elegant hemline under the desk and beautiful flowing hair. Leo always makes a special effort when he's presenting. Nice. Thank you very much. OK, let's have a look at some front pages. We've got the Daily Mail here, Cressida.
Rayner on the rampage. After pressing Reeves to hike taxes, she clashes with Chancellor, and Starmer on cuts as supporters eye up her leadership chances. So, yeah, she's kicking off. She wants to build more houses, and Reeves is saying, whoa, 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 we don't have the cash for this. And Rayner is, well, it's just becoming like a sort of public, not exactly a cat fight, but, you know, it's two women, so it's kind of been made to sound a bit like that in some of the papers. And Rayner's really she's been talking about how proud she is to come from a council house herself, and sort of saying, I think she says something like, I didn't get here today despite my beginnings, they're what got me here, or something like that.
But because of it.
Yeah, because of it. So she's kind of implying that council housing gives people stability, and she thinks that's the way to go forward. But we haven't got any money, of course. We can't get around that.
Yeah, we should be getting away from the system of the government giving people stuff, because we're not the Soviet Union. We should be. I think if we had maybe if we didn't have 1 million people coming into the country every year that aren't bringing a semi-detached house with them, it might be a bit easier to house everybody.
Yeah, but I know you'd cut all benefits and just let it sort of play out in a kind of purge style, and you'd be like, victory of the strongest. It's like,
yeah, of course.
It'd be you and two other 7-foot blokes. But yeah, I mean, it's a battle between left and even further left, isn't it? Like Reeves's two budgets were the most lefty budget, like highest taxes ever. And Rayner's like, no, go even further. But she wants, because she's saying, you know, things like the affordable homes programme only lasts until next year, so there's always more you can do. This would be a kind of red meat for the red wall, but it's who's going to get these houses, right? Immigration changes that whole picture, because when you talk about social housing, but you think they're just going to go to people who arrived off a boat 10 minutes ago, it's a completely different proposition. Though Rayner she has sensed that probably Reeves is weak. Everyone knows Reeves is sort of hangs on because it's been argued because it's so bad for Starmer to get rid of his chancellor. So she sort of hangs on, and she's sort of part of the populist left movement we might see emerging, Rayner, right? Because in America, you've got AOC, who's inevitably going to become president. Some people are calling it the post-woke left. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got the post-woke bit yet. But it's definitely part of the more populist, give-out free money left, right? Whereas
I've heard that.
Versus the Blairite side.
I was listening to Scarlett Maguire on here saying that she's really popular and she's got this thing that people just like about her. And I thought, I've been around you guys too long. I didn't really know, because I've also seen.
And this is Reeves.
Yeah, this.
Rayner.
Rayner.
Right? Yeah.
The idea that she's got this sort of salt of the earth, people just love it kind of quality, and I hadn't noticed myself. I've also I saw this horrible comment about her. Somebody in a YouTube comment referred to her as being thick as mince.
Right.
Which I thought was really, really mean.
Did you not see her dancing with the DJing when she was like? Yeah. That's like the kind of raw charisma she has.
Yeah. I mean, we've certainly seen in some communist regimes, you know, people rise from lowly ranks. It doesn't always end too well when they start seizing farms and spending too much money. Are
you comparing Rayner to Stalin? Is it?
No, she'd never be that competent. But yeah, basically we should have no more social housing is what I say. Let's move on and have a look at the front cover of the Times, Nick.
Times has new mental health A&Es will relieve NHS strain, which I know you said you had. But it's actually a good idea, because you had 250,000 people last year come into A&E with really mental health things, and obviously that clogs it up for people with physical things. And so it's good to have it separate. It seems like a good idea to me anyway. Let's see. Obviously, it's Britain, so it'll be executed terribly. But you know, it's people who are feeling suicidal or have psychosis or mania, and they'll enter a calm and welcoming environment. So, yeah, I mean, we've got to do something, because it's impossible. Basically, I think mental health is basically impossible for the NHS. But if the NHS can tackle mental health, seems like the kind of way they could. In a kind of emergency setting, it seems like they might be stronger.
But won't this just encourage people to be mental?
No, it won't encourage people to be mental. And this is, of course, this is coming as we're talking about Callaghan's murders there was another person who had committed some stabbings whose mother came out today and said, look, I've been trying to tell the police about him for a long, long time. There's this big debate at the moment. What do we do about people who are likely to commit violence but haven't committed it yet? And this, it feels to me like this is supposed to be some kind of...
Well, we gave Nick a spot in headliners. So
what's your point? This will be great for me. I'll be down there every night. I'll be down there every night saying, I've had to work with these people for 3.5 years. Can I get some help, please?
They'll be put down the AK-47, please, Mr. Dixon. But yeah, I mean, I think mental health stuff is causing a huge strain on the NHS because it's expanded to all this stuff. Everybody I know has got ADHD. I've probably got ADHD as well. They're all like, I take these pills. I take these pills and they make me so much more effective and efficient. It's like, yeah, because they're amphetamines. Of course they make you more efficient. They're great for doing your tax return, but I don't think it's a great idea to take them every day.
I can agree with you there, and I got someone threatening me with a gun emoji on Twitter because of my anti-ADHD stance where I said it was maybe overblown. This, I think, is different because it is actually... It's trying to stop what you're talking about, which is kind of waste of resources. It's saying...
It has ADHD is basically just using it as a way to get prescription speed on the NHS.
Right, but this is psychosis and mania. These are real... Do you concede, though, that you have real things like schizophrenia?
Oh, yeah, after a few months of taking these pills, they have psychosis and schizophrenia.
Just going to double down.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there are real things, but I think people should just pull their socks up and get on with it. Anyway, we've got The Independent now with left-wing Americans fleeing America to seek refuge in cuddly lefty Britain. I take it these guys haven't heard of reform, Cressida.
That's right. US applications for British citizenship skyrocket after Trump election win. And just to give you a number, that skyrocketing is nearly 2,000. It's actually 1,930, which I did the maths, works out at 19.7 small boats worth of people. So I don't know how skyrocketing that is. And there's these arguments that it's to do with LGBTQ plus stuff, the idea that we're more welcoming. Of course, recently we didn't do very well in the Rainbow Map ratings.
Yes.
The UK's actually gone down, so we're not as LGBTQ plus.
So this will help us get back up there if we're getting more gay people.
That's exactly right. So apparently the director of the Immigration Advice Service says that people are leaving because of fear, frustration and financial security. One of them is rock star Courtney Love. That makes me lose my compassion. I don't think she should... She could probably buy a bodyguard, couldn't she? I mean, I'm not sure I'm convinced.
And she was kind of rebellious, and now she's, like, obviously pro the system. I mean, I suppose you could say she's rebelling against the new establishment, but...
She was an early adopter of jabs.
Good point. I love this line. Many clients have expressed that their views do not align with the current government and are anxious about what the future holds for them and the welfare the welfare of their families. So I sort of wish Trump was like they think. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of these where like they think Trump's going to be this tyrant against any sort of like lefty celebrities, and of course he's not going to be like that cool. That would be brilliant, but he's not going to do it. So they all flee to Britain. I think they should. You know, if you're a lefty celebrity, you shouldn't feel safe anywhere in the West. This is my opinion. But one of the reasons they come over is taxes. I'm like, have you seen the Reeves budget? It says, OK, some of them are going to Ireland, fair enough. But it also Canada, UK and Spain. It's like, we've got way higher taxes than the US. What are you doing?
So they're coming here because they want to pay more tax. I mean, that's the thing is they're celebrities. So I bet they've got some sort of system worked out where, you know, when they're actually here, they identify as a Filipino 12-year-old and don't pay any tax whatsoever. But I'm just wondering, you know, can we do an exchange? And also, if we are going to see people migrating based on political preferences, it'd be interesting to see countries form based on ideological beliefs. So you could have the right-wing country, which should obviously be super rich and everybody be good-looking. So everybody's going to want to go there, but you won't be able to get in there because it's the right-wing country and they'll stop you getting in.
There won't be many benefits, that's for sure. But yeah, but don't you think, as in there'll be benefits but not welfare?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's what's happening with the South Africans when Trump's saying I'm welcoming white South Africans into America, and people are like, oh, this is bad, and it turns out they just hate white people. But that's a kind of example of kind of, and it could be that people struggling on the Starmer's regime go to the US. That would be another example.
Trump could play an absolute blinder and say, yeah, anybody in Britain, anybody in Europe who is being persecuted under free speech laws or feels threatened under free, can't tell their jokes in a comedy club, come to America. Come to America, and we'd all go to America, and America would become the greatest country in the world, even more. Anyway, that's it for this section. Coming up, we're going to look at the front page of The Guardian. It's got something about poverty. There's always something about poverty in The Guardian. And we've got a hilarious story about the first nationalised train service in the UK. Guess what it is? That's right, it's a rail replacement bus. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. All change for the weekend. Wet weather's moving in just in time for the bank holiday, but the long weekend won't be a complete write-off. Yes, there'll be plenty of showers around, but there'll also be some fine weather to be had. It's all about the timing. Now, these weather fronts are timing things beautifully this evening, bringing rain in for Friday night across most areas. Parts of the east still dry right now, but the rain will creep its way eventually into eastern Scotland and eastern England. Nothing too heavy, but it's going to be a much milder night compared to last night when we got down to -5 tonight. Many towns and cities holding in double digits, some places staying in the teens. So it won't be cold first thing, but it will be pretty grey, drab, dank, drizzly first thing on Saturday morning. The main area of rain will be heading its way out into the North Sea. It's going to not reach Shetland until tomorrow morning, but once it arrives here, it may well linger. Elsewhere, the rain will be moving away from Northern Ireland, so something a bit brighter, at least for a time, but showers will move in here following behind this main zone of rain. Also looking a little drier across Wales and southwest England, a soggy start for East Anglia and the southeast. But again, that rain will be moving out into the North Sea, so generally through the day, it's going to get drier during the morning and eventually might even brighten up. Parts of northeast England, East Midlands, parts of East Wales may well see some decent spells of sunshine. It could just spark 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, particularly northeast Scotland and Northern Ireland, but they'll be very hit and miss. Many places avoiding those, but more showers always come into western areas where it will be cooler. But in the east, in the sunshine, quite warm, quite humid, could get to 21, maybe even 22 Celsius. A fresher feel for Sunday, gusty day across northern areas, particularly in western Scotland. Really blustery here with lots of showers, but elsewhere, not too many showers. And much of the Midlands, eastern and southern England looking dry and fine. It'll be breezy, it will feel fresher, but temperatures closer to average with maybe getting up to 20 or 21.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this chap made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's go to gbnews.com/yoursay to see what you've been up to. Anne-Marie, talking about Angela Rayner, says, sorry, but you're forgetting the whole council house saga. She allegedly pretended not to live with her husband to buy her council house, and there's speculation as to whether she actually gave the correct address when she was running for office, although I think she was cleared of all allegations. But sorry, she's not salt of the earth, she's a wrong'un. Yeah, thanks for reminding us of that. And we've got this comment here from Rebe, not Phoebe, who says, pretty sure ADHD gets PIP, that's the personal independence payments. Yep. So freeloading benefits. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. We should make you Prime Minister. Anyway, let's have a look at some more newspapers. What's on the front page of The Guardian, Cressida?
Thousands could suffer as child poverty plan delayed. So Labour's flagship child poverty strategy has been delayed until at least the autumn.
Right.
So this is more of the same, really,
This is their
isn't it?
plan to put more children in poverty.
It's not actually, Leo. They want to lift them out of poverty. It specifically says here, Keir doesn't want to be the Labour Prime Minister who's overseen an increase in child poverty on his watch. So I think we'll probably get to the point where we do eventually get rid of the 2-child limit. So that's the other part of this. There is a debate going on about whether to have a 2-child limit on universal credit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2-child limit, there's arguments for and against. But I think overall, the thing that's going to lift children out of poverty is knowing that they can actually go and work instead of just falling into a benefit system. And I think the sooner we get people off benefits, the better, Nick.
Well, I agree with that. No one's ever been able to crack the make work pay thing ever, which is, I'm sure you just do it by getting rid of all benefits and then it would make work pay, but it's a tricky one. Yeah, this is a classic Labour conundrum because it's Morgan McSweeney against the lefties in the party. He's saying that the public won't view this as fair, whereas, of course, the lefties are just like, always want more. It does, of course, it sounds cruel to say, oh, we don't care about child poverty, but the problem is, as Chris said earlier, we don't have any money left.
Yeah.
So that's the big issue.
And this is the thing. I mean, I think for last month, our borrowing was 20 billion, more than 20 billion over what we're actually taking in. So we're running a deficit of 20 billion a month, which is just obviously completely unsustainable. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a credit card, but if you're loading it with £20 billion worth of debt every month, you're going to go bust pretty quick.
And it's these kids that will grow up and be paying for it and paying for more pensions that we can't afford. And
no, because they'll all be pansexual and have ADHD and they'll all be on personal independence payments. Nobody's ever going to work again. They'll all be on Motability. I'll be the last person actually working in an actual job.
Who's going to pay for all that? Somebody's got to pay for something.
I know. They'll just borrow it off the next generation. There's also a picture here of Kim Kardashian. So 4 men were actually found guilty of the Kim Kardashian jewellery heist in Paris. She was actually kidnapped and held hostage.
Really?
Yes,
I missed that completely.
And then she said she forgave them
I
in
normally
court,
follow what she's doing so closely, but I missed that completely. I'm more of a Kanye fan now. I follow him. Yay. I like his recent work, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I've been a fan for ages. Imagine how delighted I was when I found out he did music as well. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on and have a look at the front page of the iWeekend, Nick.
Yeah, they've got Labour rebels warn Starmer, back down on disability benefit cuts or we resign from front bench. It's very much a similar topic we're talking about. And the problem with all these things is these cuts are not going to be significant. They're not going to save us this much money, but they're still too controversial for the left of the Labour Party. This is the problem we have. So up to 150 MPs have signed 2 letters signalling their opposition to the cuts, and the I is claiming that around 5 members of the front bench are prepared to, in parliamentary private secretary roles, are prepared to resign if no action is taken. So, yeah, it's always a problem for Starmer. You've got the sort of Blairite side, then you've got the lefties who just want endless free money, and then you've got the Blairite-Starmer type, which is like still loads of free money, but just a tiny bit less that won't do anything.
Yeah.
But, and they're still opposed to that. And some of these benefits cuts, it's like they'll save like $5 billion a year, but it's set to go up the cost to 100 billion by 2030. So, they're a drop in the ocean anyway. I've talked about this before.
Yeah, there just seems to be so much that we can just immediately, easily cut, just slash straight away. Like the asylum hotels. Sorry, you're sleeping in that hedge. Get used to it.
Well, that's your opinion, isn't it? Obviously, the readers of the iWeekend wouldn't generally agree with
They can live in their house then.
Well, you've suggested it many times. Has anyone taken you up on that idea yet?
No, but I bet it's policy. By the time I'm Emperor of Britain,
we need to get reform. We need to get reform running on that. Hedges for asylum seekers.
Yeah. Actually, hedges is too good for them. Let's give them some sort of corrugated iron fence. Anyway, I guess this is the problem with any political party. It's got to be such a big church. It's got to include people like, so Labour's got the Blairites, but it's also got the absolute nutcase Trotskyists as well.
That's so balanced. Yes, we've also got Elon Musk secretly pushing for UK to allow driverless Teslas. That's exciting.
That would be amazing. And so we'd free up those people to go back into the economy and they could, I don't know what they could do.
You're obsessed with people working.
Yeah, they could do some work. Well, they already are working.
But wouldn't this take loads of jobs? When you get self-driving cars, truck drivers are gone, lorry drivers, we call them here.
But the economy always finds a way to repurpose people.
You sound like blooming Jeff Goldblum. Life finds a way.
I think driverless Teslas, imagine how cheap a taxi ride will be without a driver. Because a lot of the cost is the driver.
I'll miss the chat.
I don't think you would. I think the great thing about them will be that you don't have to have a conversation when you get in.
I enjoy being called boss. It's the only time I get called boss.
OK, let's look at some stories from inside the papers. We've got the Telegraph now with the most British headline of all time. The UK's first nationalised train is a rail replacement bus. Can I pay for my ticket with some money replacement buttons, Nick?
Nice one, yeah. It's so perfect, isn't it? It's a perfect symbol of decline. You could say perfect symbol of Labour. They claim otherwise. It's South Western Railway, and there's a journey from Woking to Waterloo but it has to stop for engineering works near Rayners Park. They have to go to do some Byzantine sort of system of walking the streets, like just for an hour. After an hour winding through the streets of southwest London, travellers will be deposited at Clapham Junction. From there, they can take an 11-minute train to Waterloo. And this is the flagship first one. Now, they claim the first ever privatised service in 1996 was a replacement bus. But can we just all agree? Let's have a rule. When you have to get a replacement bus, you just don't have to do whatever the thing is you're going to. Shouldn't that be the rule? Like, if you have to get to work, but it's a replacement bus, you just cancel, because they are the worst.
Nick Dixon, man of the people.
It's just like, I've had to get them before, but I always think...
We've got a picture of this
What, of a rail replacement bus?
Apparently, yeah. No, this specific one. That is the actual bus that people will be getting. I don't know how we know that that's the actual bus.
For radio listeners, it's a picture of a bus.
No, but the point... No, you've missed the point.
I can't see
it's a red bus. It's a normal bus that you get a short journey on, and the train would be more... It would have facilities, wouldn't it?
Right, I see.
Toilets and sandwiches and so on.
And it would go on train tracks.
Well, that would
it's much
be
better.
a lot
It's
quicker
faster.
as well.
Gets you right there.
I have to say, I do agree with Nick. I mean, why let this happen on this weekend? A spokesman for South Western Railway Network said, well, maintenance and upgrades essential for enhancing services for customers are planned many months in advance, and this bank holiday weekend is no different. Yeah, but so don't do it on that weekend. It's like having a dinner party when you've got the builders in doing a new kitchen. Don't do it.
Yeah, and I think you should be allowed, if you have to get a rail replacement bus service, the next time the ticket inspector comes down to demand to see your £270 ticket to sit next to a toilet for a few hours going to Birmingham or whatever, you should be able to say, listen, I don't have a ticket because last time I didn't get a train. So, you know, and then they have a poster saying, you know, our staff deserve to work without fear of, you know, whatever.
Then you'll go to prison next to Lucy Connolly while they let out all the murderers, so Leo can get in there for his train argument.
Let's move on. We've got the Daily Mail now with a top cop saying the Supreme Court trans ruling will have no impact on policing, probably because the police don't do any, Cressida.
Top cop says transgender Supreme Court ruling has no direct impact on policing. So this is Deputy Chief Constable Alan Spears. Yeah, I mean, this is Police Scotland. He's saying that this isn't going to impact what they do. But read this. In March, police chiefs asked an equalities watchdog, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, for advice about whether they should allow rapists to self-identify as women and provide single-sex changing rooms for staff. I wonder, should they do that? This is just madness. Surely the whole point of the ruling was everyone was saying, oh, now we've got clarity, now we've got clarity. They're still not clear. They're still messing about, having a consultation with stakeholders. No, none of that. Just get on with it.
They're more likely to be sausage holders. But,
nice.
I mean, surely if anybody should be following the law, it's the police, Nick.
As a layman, you'd think that, Leo, but this is Scotland. You know about Scotland. They're a sort of rogue state now. They're a kind of trans-North Korea, just doing what they want. Years after everyone else knows what a woman is, they still will not admit it.
Ah, it's a man in a kilt. Why is my Scottish accent worse than my...
It's a good point. You've been here too long, mate. You need to go back. Go back to your roots.
Oh.
OK, which... some people in Scotland are doing. Well, coming up, we're going to check out the front page of the Daily Express. It leads with Fergal Sharkey's cancer shot. That's a bit worrying. Do get tested. And also more from Police Scotland. They're at a breaking point as officers sign up and then quit. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
There's the chance of a little bit of light rain in Sicily over the course of the weekend. Small chance of some showers in Mallorca as well. Plenty of sunshine for Greece. That should continue for the next few days. We've seen some wet weather across Croatia recently, but the showers here are also clearing. There's that thicker cloud and patchy rain that may affect Sicily. 1 or 2 showers for Mallorca and Menorca. Small chance of a shower or 2 in southern Spain as well, but generally Spain and Portugal and the Canaries set fair with plenty of sunshine for the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns. Coming soon. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's have a quick look at gbnews.com/yoursay to see what you've been saying. There's a great one from Hugh Jarrett, which I can't find now because, oh, here we go. Child poverty is defined as them growing up in families with less than 60% of the average household income. So if the average income was £1 million, a child would be in poverty if the household income was £599,000. It's a ridiculous metric. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, I technically grew up in poverty, didn't feel like it. Climbing trees is free. And Anne-Marie says, love this Headliners trio.
Woo!
So do we?
Very good.
Let's have some more front pages. Here's the Daily Express with Fergal Sharkey.
Yeah, get tested. Fergal's cancer shock. So apparently he's got prostate cancer, and he just discovered it because he went to a GP with a sore throat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So he's also got a prostate in the wrong place.
Well, yeah. The GP apparently is somebody he knows well, and they said, look, because of your age...
You don't want them to know you that well.
Well... They ran the full set of tests,
right.
Put it that way, and that's how it was discovered.
Horrible. And it's so sad. And so many people have had it recently, obviously Biden and the great Scott Adams, who announced it, that he doesn't have long left to live. But people love Scott Adams so much, creator of Dilbert, and just loads of online content. And people have just sort of an outpouring of love for him on the internet. But yeah, get tested, I guess.
Yeah, and I love Fergal Sharkey. A good heart is hard to find. Amazing song.
Teenage Kicks.
Teenage Kicks, absolutely iconic song. So we wish him all the best in his recovery. And let's have a look at the front page of the Daily Star.
Yeah, it's not easy being orange, and I had to try and unpack what this story is. It's Kermit the Frog was doing a speech to students, which is a totally normal thing, and in that speech he dissed Donald Trump, I believe is the story from the Star. That's the level.
That's it. Well, that's boring. Let's not talk about that. Let's look at something from inside the newspaper. We've got the Telegraph now with the Scottish police taking a Scottish approach to employment. Quitting, Nick.
Yeah, Police Scotland at breaking point as officers sign up, then quit, which is a sort of, I suppose that is the sequence you normally do it in, but hopefully not immediately.
Yeah.
Is anything not at breaking point in all of Britain? Should we just assume things are at breaking point, and then the headlines could be something not at breaking point?
Obesity and fat jabs are doing brilliantly.
Yes.
Those are the two things.
Ozempic not at breaking point. Yeah, everything else is at breaking point. So numbers of people who left within 5 years more than doubled between 2021 and 2024, 66 to 143, that type of thing. No one wants to do it. And, you know, I feel bad for them because it's a tough job. You've got the politicised kind of part of it, which is awful, but then you've got the actual cops on the street doing hard things, showing up to houses with horrible situations and things like that and stopping people on the street. It's all very difficult.
Yeah, but every police officer I speak to, the morale is so low because they're forced to do these ridiculous politicised things that they inherently don't agree with. Nobody signed up to join the police to, you know, go after, you know, middle-aged housewives for tweeting.
Well, yeah, and they're covered in body cams and everything they do gets criticised by the likes of us. And this article just goes on and on about money. It's all calling for more funding. And I think, oh, come on. I don't really believe that. I think what people want is respect. And also, you know, it wouldn't hurt if they were fancied by people for having a uniform, that kind of thing. You know, but police are just, they're not seen as a what's a better way of saying it, as a sexy prospect anymore, are they? It's not a glamorous job, but it was once.
They should be allowed to beat people up like they did in the 70s. Then you'll get more people wanting to do it. We've got the Telegraph now with cricket news. We've gone from sledging to silence in Cressida.
Crackdown on counties criticising umpires on social media. So you're not allowed to bully the ref anymore. It's not a ref, is it? It's an umpire. Which I thought the whole point of being a referee in sport was so that people shouted at you that you couldn't see and expletives and so on. But that's not what's going to happen. Now, the England and Wales Cricket Board this week revealed that the regulator's going to actively look at social media posts from clubs.
Right.
They're going to be policing it.
It's mad. I mean, it says here, it's understood that umpires have been hurt and frustrated by fans' criticism. Of course. Have you tried going on the internet? Like, I'm hurt and frustrated every day. Last night, someone says I wasn't funny enough. I was being interrogated about Israel for 10 minutes. How funny can you be? But every day on Twitter. I mean, come on. I feel bad for them, but that's the world, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's try and squeeze this one in because it's about comedy. It's in the Telegraph, and apparently edgy comedy is back in fashion. Does this mean the Comedy Store will start booking us again, Nick?
No, it's racial slurs, alien sex, the shockingly funny return of politically incorrect comedy. It's about American comedian Tom Segura's Bad Thoughts, which is a show on Netflix that goes into very dark and sort of tasteless areas. I will sort of counter. It's a good article. It's by Gareth Roberts, who's very smart, but I would counter by saying, not him, but counter this whole idea that this is like post-woke, because actually darkness is sort of always allowed, isn't it? You can praise Satan, but not Hitler, right? It's not actually that edgy to be really dark, but some of it may be genuinely edgy. He did do a bit about a certain R word that was quite edgy.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Without seeing it, and I watched the trailer, so I got the sense of the way it's produced, but I don't know what's in it. And it sounds like a lot of the stuff he's done has been done in stand-up. You know, Louis C.K. can be quite graphic, but when you commit it to the images and the act-outs, I can see how that... It's a bit like trying to write up your links and put images to them. It's all very well in words, and then you think, I can't make a picture of that.
Yeah, and we're not going to leave you with a picture of that in your head. The show is nearly over, so let's take another quick look at Saturday's front pages. The Daily Mail leads with Rayner on the rampage. She's got free from her cage, and she's flipping cars over. No, she isn't. She's just having some arguments. The Daily Express leads with Get Tested, Fergal Sharkey's cancer shock. The Daily Mirror has My Big Sister Kate and Me. The Eye Weekend leads with Labour rebels warn Starmer, back down on disability benefit cuts or we resign from the front bench. The Times leads with New mental health A&Es will relieve NHS strain, and the Daily Star has It's not easy being orange. And don't forget, you can stay with us all day, not just on TV, but on radio on your smart speaker. And that's it for tonight's show. Thank you to my guests, Cressida and Nick. Me and Nick will be back tomorrow at 11 p.m. with Lewis Schaefer. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, then stay tuned for breakfast.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. All change for the weekend. Wet weather's moving in just in time for the bank holiday, but the long weekend won't be a complete write-off. Yes, there'll be plenty of showers around, but there'll also be some fine weather to be had. It's all about the timing. Now, these weather fronts are timing things beautifully this evening, bringing rain in for Friday night across most areas. Parts still dry right now, but the rain will creep its way eventually into eastern Scotland and eastern England. Nothing too heavy, but it's going to be a much milder night compared to last night when we got down to -5 tonight. Many towns and cities holding in double digits. Some places staying in the teens. So it won't be cold first thing, but it will be pretty grey, drab, dank, drizzly first thing on Saturday morning. The main area of rain will be heading its way out into the North Sea. It's going to not reach Shetland until tomorrow morning, but once it arrives here, it may well linger. Elsewhere, the rain will be moving away from Northern Ireland, so something a bit brighter, at least for a time, but showers will move in here following behind this main zone of rain. Also looking a little drier across Wales and southwest England, a soggy start for East Anglia and the southeast. But again, that rain will be moving out into the North Sea. So generally through the day, it's going to get drier during the morning and eventually might even brighten up. Parts of northeast England, East Midlands, parts of East Wales may well see some decent spells of sunshine. It could just spark 1 or 2 heavy showers over East Anglia and the southeast, particularly northeast Scotland and Northern Ireland, but they'll be very hit and miss. Many places avoiding those, but more showers always come into western areas where it will be cooler. But in the east, in the sunshine, quite warm, quite humid, could get to 21, maybe even 22 Celsius. A fresher feel for Sunday, gusty day across northern areas, particularly in western Scotland. Really blustery here with lots of showers, but elsewhere, not too many showers. And much of the Midlands, eastern and southern England looking dry and fine. It'll be breezy, it will feel fresher, but temperatures closer to average with maybe getting up to 20 or 21.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232.